You enter the tavern, and to one side there is a hooded figure sitting by the fireplace, staring into the embers. To the other side there is a bar where the barkeeper is busy himself wiping dry the mugs. To the other side, in the corner, is a group of people who are busy themselves over a deck of cards and trying to win a pile of money between the group of them. What would you like to do? The barbarian says, I'd like to go over to the bar. I'm going to pay for 10 beers and start drinking them immediately. The wizard, I'd like to go down next to the fire and perhaps try and talk to the hooded figure and work out where they came from. The rogue is, I think I might try my luck over next to the gamblers. I won a pendant today and I'll see if they're willing to take that in lieu of any gold. The bard is like, oh, sorry, is it my go now? What's happening again? Hello and welcome to OThinking Dungeons, a channel devoted to turning successful players into successful DMs. My name's Manny and I'll be your host and DM for this tutorial. So, the subject of this video is action versus non-action. And what is the difference? Basically, when it comes around to your turn, I expect you to know what you want to do. So, you've probably waited about 5-10 minutes to come around to your spot in the initiative order or whatever order. It shouldn't be that difficult to have a vague idea of what you want to achieve in this moment. Inaction or non-action is when it comes around to your turn, you haven't spent any moment, or rather spent any of that time to think about what you want to do. That is, a vague description. Or even better is this is the effects of the differences. Basically, when you know what you need to do, whether it be cast a spell, maybe investigate the shrine, cast heal on yourself, or talk to the NPC. As a DM, I can say, yes, you can do that. This is what happens. But if you come up to me and it's your turn and you have to go, I don't know what to do. Or maybe, what's in this room again? Or how many people are in here? This is grossly unfair to everyone else at the table who spent their time listening to the DM. Or, basically, another problem is it may blow out your turn, or that person may blow out their turn so dramatically that the DM spends more time on that one player rather than being fair to everyone else at the table and giving everyone an equal amount of time in the spotlight. So that's a few of those problems. It's very unfair to the other players. It's more difficult for the DM to resolve because they have to resolve getting you up to speed and possibly keep repeating themselves. And also, it is just a very slow way to play the game. So, I would equate this to being like at McDonald's. I'm not sponsored by McDonald's, by the way. If you want to sponsor me, awesome. Either way, this is like when you're lining up at McDonald's and while you're standing in line, you're looking up at the menu and deciding, I think I'll take the Big Mac in large with a Coke. And You go into your wallet, you know that's how much it needs to be. You pull out your card and you're ready to go. But as the line gets shorter and it becomes almost your go, the person in front gets to the front of the line and says, "Oh, huh. You know what? Give me a moment. I'm not sure what I want to order yet. Maybe." I hope this infuriates you because it infuriates me. And this is happening in Dungeons and Dragons and your role-playing experience as well. It's not fair to everyone else if more time is spent on one player than the group as a whole. So, that is the difference between action and inaction. So, how do we deal with this problem? The first and simplest way is to simply call it out. Let's call him Bobby. Bobby, when it's your turn, I need you to have an idea of what you want to do on your turn. It's not fair that I spend more time trying to help you resolve your turn and get you to pay attention when everyone else at the table already is. Please, next time I come around to you, think about what you want to do and then tell me what you want to do when it's your turn. So, first method is straight up tell them. That's what's happening. This is a problem. How do you correct it? The other thing is, when it comes around to your turn, is in that spare moment, you as a player, you spend that time constructively. Think about what you want to do. If you want to cast a spell, have the spell, read it. Make sure you understand it and then tell the DM, this is the spell I'm going to cast. This is what happens. Please roll a DC 12 wisdom save or will save in other games. That is very easy for the DM to just say, yes, awesome. This is what happens. We can move on to the next player. The other thing is, another approach you can possibly take is you can weave real world actions into in-game actions. And this is personally one of my favorites. So whenever a player isn't paying attention at the table and it comes around to their turn and they're like, oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What happened? I tell them, your character was busy looking at the painting on the wall and didn't catch that speech. And now that changes the responsibility on me to explain what happened back onto the player. And that player has to decide, oh crap, I missed out on something that may have been important. Now, that also means that hopefully next time they come around, they're going to listen. And if not, they basically can't do anything with their character. Another thing is, this also leads into how I run in between sessions, where basically I don't explain or recap the previous game. I ask the other players at the table to recap the game. Not only does it encourage role-playing, but it also means that the players can tell the story in their own character, through their own eyes. So, if a player has, for example, missed out on a key speech while they're on their phone, whatever, it doesn't matter, you get the other players to recap the speech or information back to that character. Not only does it increase the role-playing potential between your inter-characters, it's also interesting to have what will happen is the other players in the party will start telling this player, hey, please pay attention. Or they'll start feeding them possibly misinformation or the wrong information. And this will actually, over time, in some players, cause them to listen better. I strongly, by the way, believe in never repeating myself as a DM. That's because I think it's important that you listen when I'm speaking. And I won't speak if I don't think the players are listening. And for me, the part of this is the realism in the game. In real life, when you miss a moment, that moment is gone forever. And that's how it happens in my game as well. If you're not paying enough attention during that moment is gone and you miss out on those opportunities. And instead, there's new opportunities that are forming. So that is another way you can deal with that's another way you can deal with a player who has got non-actions or no actions during their turn. Another way is you can ask your player, let's say they don't know what they want to do. You can ask them, what are your character's goals? What does your character need to achieve? What's in their backstory? So what does your character need to do right now? What's important? And they may look through their character sheet and say, oh crap, I really, really need to save the missing girl from my childhood. How do you plan, or how do you think you should do that? That will change them from potentially non-action to having a goal and something they can work towards, something they can achieve. Another way you can deal with this problem is to reflect their questions back onto them. If they go, this is a problem I sometimes refer to as the runaround. And what the runaround is where you as a DM have to work harder than the player who's making the decisions. That often happens. But what I mean is, if you're going into a marketplace and you as a DM know there's thousands upon thousands of potentials or opportunities, and the player goes to you, oh, what shops are available? Don't fall into this trap. Or potentially another one is, how many people are in this tavern? Or what's available in this shop? Or, is there a donkey? Is there any animals in this forest? Rather than taking that bait and you listing off, and that's the key, you listing off a bunch of options, that's where you start knowing that you're going to be doing the runaround, because your players will forget them. It happens all the time, I'm sorry. You ask your player, you reflect the question back onto them. What are you looking for? What shops are you interested in? What animal are you trying to capture? What is your character's goal here? So rather than listing off a bunch of options, because your players will hit choice paralysis, which is detailed in the previous choice video, by the way, your players will instead fine-tune their focus down onto their little goal. Oh, I'm looking for a shop that's going to sell magic items. I would love a new sword. Is there any in this marketplace? That is one really good way to improve or change non-action into action. Which actually goes back into the next part, which is turning inaction into action. And one of the ways you can do this is, if a player does come up to you and say, oh, what was in this room? You can say to them, roll a perception. And then they get to do something. They roll a perception. It's like, in this room there is a fireplace with a hooded figure by the one side, and there's a bunch of people gambling at the table. That's as simple as you need. Well, that's probably as much as you need to do it. And here is a secret. A secret. You only ever need to, as the DM, give 2 options. That is my suggestion. If you give any more, you're kind of wasting your time. Because good players, they will already know what they want to do. And if they don't like your 2 options, they're going to create more options for themselves. Okay? So give people 2 options. They'll create more if they need to. The other way, and this is the final way I'm going to suggest in this video, but there are plenty more. What you can do is, okay, next time I come around to your turn, I want you to think about what your character needs to do, and then we can do it. For now, I want you to think about your turn. Bob, what do you want to do? You can pass on their turn. And sometimes I suggest doing this not just because they've forgotten what they do, but because you left them with a really tough option and they need to mull over that by the time it comes back to them. So let's do a recap of some of the ways you can deal with action and non-action. So first one is call it out. Tell them straight up, hey, I need you to come up with something you want your character to do. The other option is weave their real-world actions into in-game actions. Oh, your character was too busy daydreaming to follow up on what the NPC was saying. I'm sorry, but you missed out. The other one is ask them, what are their character's goals? That will help them very quickly fine-tune their focus. The other one is reflect their question back onto them. What are you looking for in this marketplace? What animal are you hunting? What potential items are you trying to shop for? What kind of person are you looking for? The next one is turning their inactions into actions. Make them roll an intelligence. Make them roll a perception or an insight. Then you can feed them a little bit of information for that. That makes them seem like they're doing something when they're actually not. And then hopefully, once you've done that, they've either thought of something they want to do, or you can do in the final thing that I'm suggesting. If they can't decide in that moment, pass. Hopefully, when they come back around to their turn, they're going to realize they're going to miss their turn again, and they need to think of something they need to do. So that way, you keep the whole game moving, and you give everyone at the table some time to play Dungeons and Dragons, which I hope is a more fair and fun experience and easier for you as a DM to adjudicate. So, try some of these. Some of them might work. Some of them might not. Sometimes you may need to use different ones for different players at your table. Maybe some of these work and some of these don't, and you need to share. Please put them down in the comments section below, please. Maybe none of these work for you and you're stuck. Make sure you hop down in the comments below and again tell us, this is what's happening. How else can I deal with it? So next video, we're going to talk again about choice, but this time we're going to talk about leading and how you as the DM have the power to subtly influence or help your players move in a direction that you desire. And the trick to that is making it seem like their choice, because what matters is not choice, but choices that matter. So, if you're looking forward to that video, please press the subscribe button and avoid those random encounters. And if you really enjoyed this video, the price of it is one of your thumbs. Please put it on that pressure plate below. Finally, if you'd like to see some of these techniques in action, please check out our podcast, which is over on Podbean and iTunes. So the link to that is in the portal below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I will bring you some more very soon. Anyway, I'm your host and DM Manny, and this has been an OThinking Dungeons production. Goodbye.